Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Whelan, the host of the WB Download, and I want to invite you and welcome you to our podcast. My brother and I own and operate Whelan Builders. It's a custom home building company here in Southwest Ohio. The WB Download mostly focuses on interviewing folks associated with custom building. We stray now and then to interview people who I think are interesting and to break up the monotony of the same old podcast. I also like to highlight things that are going on in my everyday life along with our businesses. I started this podcast to help people understand the custom builder world, but to also give people a chance to hear what others have to say and highlight their expertise and experiences in life. We drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with a new topic and or guest each time. I hope you join us here on the WB Download and enjoy listening and hearing stories of people in and out of the custom builder world. Welcome to the WB Download. Well, all right. Welcome, everybody, once again to the WB Download. Today is Tuesday, May the 12th, 2025, and happy days are here again. Today is probably one of the most beautiful days of weather we've had in a long time. Sun shining, warm out, and the rain has stopped. And if you are not from Southwest Ohio, you may not realize that we've had 1,676 inches of rain in the last couple of days. And it's good because we need the rain and we need those pastures to grow, but we also need the sunshine for everything else that we do in this world. So enough about the weather, but hey, happy Mother's Day, everybody. The Mother's Day was just this past weekend. And you know this because as a special tribute, we interviewed my mom, Sue Whelan, my brother and I did a couple weeks ago in light of Mother's Day. And we've got a big push around here that we want to get my wife, Shannon Whelan, on this podcast. And I'd love to do that around Mother's Day, but I'd love to do it any other time. So hopefully she will give in one day and join me here so we can sit back and chat. So lots of things going on around here. And I'll tell you what, Whelan Builders is in a push here lately, guys. We've got some really good people that we've hired on here and moved some people on here. And Eric Hessel has just started with us here a couple weeks ago. And he is doing an amazing job, got a wonderful drive and knows a lot about construction, super organized. And we're just, we're building a team here that is just motivated to get organized and do things better for our customers and for this company. So I'm excited about what we've got happening. A couple weeks ago was Easter. We got to spend a lot of time there at church and with the family, and another reason to get together as we learn more. As I get older, I learn more and more as I get more involved in church, what all of these holidays really mean. And as we listen to the preaching and talking about the stories in the Bible, what it leads up to, it's kind of cool to put some meaning to it. But so anyway, happy Easter, happy Mother's Day, a lot of good things going on. And as we come into May, always a big birthday month. And so my brother Mike's birthday is actually the day that we recorded this podcast was my brother Mike's birthday, which was May the 7th. His daughter Micah is May the 5th, and his other daughter Mackenzie is May the 8th. And so they got a big month of birthdays going on there. Happy birthday to all of them. Micah his middle child ran the Half Pig Marathon, which I couldn't believe that she did. She FaceTimed me right when she was done. And man, that's tough. I did it in 2018 with my sister. I've never been so mentally challenged. Well, I shouldn't say. Up until that point, I had not been so mentally challenged in my entire life. And so it's a huge feat to do any type of running like that. So congratulations and happy birthday to all of them. We've been busy on the farm with 4-H and just getting these animals prepped and ready for the fair. The fair's in July, but last week we had a 4-H meeting at our house because the kids wanted to do the presentations. They do presentations on their animals. It's part of their book, part of their process through the 4-H club is to present their animals and talk about them. And so Raina did both of her rabbits, and Cody did both of his steers. And the cool thing about this is they're super nervous to put you on the stage and make you have to do that stuff. But Raina made up these note cards, just was so nervous about it. And she rolled through it like she's an expert. And Cody did the same. Cody does more of a winging it kind of thing. This is his second year, so he's a little bit more experienced, but that was pretty neat to have everybody there. We had a ton of people at the farm, and getting to see these things and have the meeting there in our shop. But this 4-H prep, man, we're really going down through some feed cycles, trying to switch some feeds up, balance the animals out. And this is really, really important as you're finishing out the animals, getting them over to time to ready to show, but also getting them ready to chop up for beef, which is important. It's a couple months away, and you're trying to balance all those things so they don't get too fat and they're still good when it's time to go. So, which, by the way, our farm, Cody was all excited. We built a website for the farm called WheelinFamilyFarm.com. Very simple, just informative website because we're selling freezer beef. And so if you need any freezer beef, don't hesitate to reach out and touch base with me, so we'll get you hooked up. And so all the stuff going on the farm, we've been fertilizing, we've been prepping the fields, and just cannot wait to get the cows out of this slop and get them over to the big pastures and start baling hay at the same time, because man, I hate this stuff. The cows are muddy, dirty. There's a risk there of getting stuck, getting too much stuff all over them. It's just not healthy. And I also hate walking through it and the way it looks. So I can't wait until we get around the corner here. But anyway, the other thing that we're doing here in the company, and like we talked about getting super organized, and we've always had things that we talk about, always had things that I write down, and we start heading in a direction, and then we get busy doing some other stuff, and you get busy doing some other stuff. And so we're working on that, but we're implementing Builder Trend and into our company, which is a computer software that will organize us, communicate with us, and store all of the information that we need. And so we're looking forward to it. I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say old school, but it takes me a minute to learn these kind of things and to dive in, take time to dive into it. And then once you get into it and you start seeing all the things it does, it's really, really cool. So, looking forward to that for all the benefits that it has. So, lots of stuff going on as always. And, I'm excited about leading up into the summertime and getting out of this rainy weather. Of course, I hope that we don't go through another drought, and then I'm sitting here complaining about the fact that it hasn't rained. But we're looking forward to what we have to offer right now. So, all right. So that's it. As we lead in today's podcast, we're going to spin the wheel and talk about some things that we have. And let's see. Don't forget, this is our topic wheel. So we have a wheel that we decided to do this year. And I haven't done it the last couple episodes because they were running a little bit lengthy. But spin the wheel, it pops up on a subject, and then I just start talking to you about it. And most of it has to do with building houses. So let's see what we've got. All right. We have concrete. Concrete. My favorite thing to hate. Concrete is so tough. The only guarantees you have on concrete, I had one guy who used to say he guarantees it against fire and theft. The other guarantees is it's going to get hard, it's going to crack, and the price is going to go up. These are the things you need to know about concrete. So where do we use concrete at? We use concrete in the footers that go underneath the foundation. We use them in the foundation wall. We use it in the floors, the basement floor and the garage floor. We use it on our porches, our driveways, our patios. We use it around pools. We use it on our sidewalks. We use it on our and just on all sorts of things. Concrete is everywhere. So what does it mean? I mean, what is important about concrete? Well, you have different PSIs. That's how they measure concrete, the pounds per square inch. And so when we do this, we look at the footer. The footer underneath the foundation wall is the sole purpose of this is to keep a level space for the wall to sit on. The pressure and the pressure point of it is actually in the soil, not necessarily on the footer and the concrete. Until you get into retaining walls and hillside district, the footer, that's the only purpose of the footer, is to keep that thing there. Give us some depth to put our subgrade down there with gravel to make sure that all the water has a place to drain out of. It serves a lot more purposes than what I'm telling you, but that's the main purpose of it. The wall, and we pour that at the cheapest one, or not the cheapest one, the least pressured one, which is a 2,500 PSI. And then we get into the foundation wall. And the foundation wall, when I was in college, we were up in Columbus and Worcester area in Ohio here, and we were doing everything out of block. And it was rare to do anything out of concrete for a wall. That way, our footers were concrete, but we poured everything out of block. And now, if you go up there, I'd say the majority of it is all concrete poured walls. So foundations, we use what we use here at Wheel and Builders. We use a 4,000 PSI in our walls. And we do that because the building code changed a while ago. And depending on what kind of PSI you're using, you could be getting into more rebar, depending on how high you backfill the foundation and how tall the walls are and all these different things, all plays a factor into what we're going to use there. So we just went to a 4,000 PSI. We're still reinforcing it all with rebar, but that's the code is probably like a 3,000 PSI, I believe, is the minimum that you have to have in there. We use it on the floors. So the garage floor, we're using a 4,000 PSI because it's got so much weather that it gets from the vehicles traveling in and out of there. And then on the basement floor, we're usually using the 3,500 PSI because it's inside. It's an interior slab. The only time it's seeing the weather is when we're getting ready to build the house. But on the footer, you scrape the top of it off. That's the finish. You put a keyway in it, which is a little groove that we put in there where the wall's going to sit on top of it to lock the footer and the wall together. The wall gets a finish. Sometimes we vibrate those walls with a tool that goes in there to make sure that the cream's floating to the sides. We'll bang on the forms a little bit. We've got some other methods that we're doing with that. The floors, the basement floor and the garage floor, are typically what we call a slick trowel. We've got a trowel machine. If these guys are really, really good and don't have anything better to do, they'll do it by hand. But it's really slick and smooth going everywhere around there. The porches, again, they're probably either a broom finish or we talk about a stamped textured finish with a design pattern to it. Driveways are usually a broom finish, kind of like the porches are. The other option on these porches and driveways is what we call a swirl finish, which is really old school. There's only a couple people probably that can do it really, really well anymore. But that's another option for those driveways. Patios, same thing. Pools are, most of the pools that we do, if they have concrete around them, we're doing some kind of textured, some kind of stamp. We're doing something decorative around them. They call it a Stagmeyer form, which makes a cantilevered edge going around the pool, and the face of it gets all finished on it, and so that concrete hangs over the edge. As opposed to the pool will provide you with this little J-hook channel that goes around there, and we just pour right up to it and screed it off. But pools, a lot of our pools are not doing concrete. We're doing some sort of hardscape from the landscaper. We're doing some different really, really cool, pavers or, some kind of tile work that goes on out there. Sidewalk, same thing. They could, on a house to the sidewalk to the house could be a textured stamped concrete. Public sidewalks are typically just broom finish. So we talked about slick trowel, broom, swirl, stamped. The stamped concrete, there's two different colors that we do in there. We do the color mixed from the plant. So they'll mix it in the truck, in the batch. And then we also do what we call the release color, which is in the color hardener that we put as a powder out on the site. So this is a really cool process, but you have to understand how it works. And I can't sit here and explain to you over the microphone what it's going to do. You have just regular colored concrete, which is one of the dumbest things you can possibly do. It's what I did at my house and did it around our pool. I wanted my concrete to look like we just poured it. So we call it green, so to speak. It's more like a dark gray. And so when I did that, I made it what we call an onyx color, which is almost black, because I assumed it was going to fade out. So I have to spend a ton of money every year to seal the concrete to make it look like it's supposed to. And then when I do that, it's too hot to walk on. It smells sitting around a pool, and you have to continue to do that year after year after year. Like I said, not the smartest thing that I could ever do, but we still have to seal that stamped concrete that we have on our porches in those areas. In the concrete, we have to put joints, expansion joints. In our basement floors and our garage floors, we're usually using what we call a zip strip. And this is a plastic piece that's got like a little V groove to it that lays down inside the concrete. And then we finish the concrete right over top of it. So when you're done finishing the concrete and days later, months later, you'll see a little hairline crack that lays right where this joint goes to. This is a consistent depth on the joint because you want to be 25% of the thickness for your expansion joint. So this keeps it consistent. It also makes it nice because we can burn over top of it. We don't have to joint them in with a tool. That's the other kind of joint that you're going to see. And the tool joint is most of the time when on your driveway. So when you see that grid pattern going up there, there's a tool that we have to use to create that. It looks decorative. I mean, it looks like we did it to make the driveway look cool, but it's really a decorative tool joint. And then you also have the edges. So we finished the edges with what we call an edger, and it's a little rounded edge or whatever you want to put on that side. And we're finishing off all the edges going around there. So we want to do that because up against the forms, if you don't, and you leave it just a form sitting on there, it's going to have a real crappy, sharp, jagged edge on the side of it. And we want it to look really good. There's so many different techniques you need to do with this concrete to make it look good, make it look consistent, and to really make sure that it's working the way you want it to. And then we talk about the thicknesses. So on your footer, you think about different thicknesses. Like I said before, we have to have that subgrade with the gravel underneath the concrete slab down there. So we also need a certain amount of thickness because we build these great big houses, long houses that have to have plumbing that has fall going down through it. Now, if we have to get in there and do some trenching, we do that. But those footers are typically at least 8 inches deep. That's the code for the most time. It depends on your excavator. Sometimes they get a lot deeper than that. Your basement floors are typically 4 inches thick. Your garage floors are either 4 or 6 inches thick, depending on what you got going on in there, or what you think you need, and depending on how the grid pattern for the rebar and the bracing is. Your foundation walls, minimum is 8 inches, and this all depends on how deep the wall is, how tall it is, if it's 8 foot, 9 foot, 4 foot, whatever it is. And it also depends on what district, if you're in a hillside district, if you're stepping down. It also depends on what you're putting on top of that wall. So if you have a 2x6 wall with a real stone, you're going to need something that's a lot thicker than just 8 inches or 10 inches. If you have an 1.5 inch zip wall on there, plus a 2x6 wall, plus brick, you're going to need at least a 12-inch wall or more. So all of those things depend on, the foundation depends on what you're doing above it. Porches and some of those things, most of our porches are at least 6 inches thick. And we do that because we want to make sure that the face of it looks really cool. Plus we're reinforcing it, with all those things, with rebar and tying it into the house. Driveways are typically 4, aprons out at the street are 6, which is a code sometimes. Most of the time we're doing a 6-inch driveway. It just depends on what people are wanting to do back there. Pools are the same way. They're 4 inches. Pretty standard stuff for the depth. Just like a lot of things, though, the prep work going into these things before we pour is more important than anything. So you got to make sure an even, smooth surface, compacted surface. Something that's not fresh fill, something that's not going to move, but you also need to make sure that you don't need gravel underneath it. I mean, you can pour right on the dirt if you want. I don't want people to think that, well, my builder sucks, they didn't put any gravel underneath it. It's more making sure that it's a consistent grade coming across there. So if somebody's pouring a driveway and they drive the concrete truck up through the middle of the driveway and start pouring the apron up there and backing down, now you have these huge ruts from the truck running up in there. That's not good because for one, there's either going to be a whole lot of concrete in those ruts, or there's going to be very little concrete on the top of the ridge of the rut. But it's also inconsistent, and that's not what you want. So the prep work that goes into this, making sure the ground conditions are good. You don't want to make sure it's 150 degrees out and you haven't had rain in 12 weeks and you're pouring down on this dirt that's just dry, that's going to suck all the moisture out of the concrete. So a lot of different things go into concrete. It's a chemistry makeup of this thing. And you got to make sure you have a really good concrete company that's going to stand behind our product and help you with whatever you need to know about it. On top of these concretes, and I mentioned this a little bit about these stamped concretes and this colored concrete, you have to seal them. So when we first put down our concrete on the flat work, which is the floors and the driveways and the exteriors, we're usually using what we call a non-yellowing concrete cure, a diamond cure. And the stuff is expensive, but it needs to be put on consistent. And a couple reasons why I like it. For one, it seals it up. So when people are walking in it during construction, it's not staining it. It's not beating the crap out of it. It makes it look shiny, makes it look slick, and probably holds its color a little bit more, but also allows that concrete to cure out at a more even rate instead of getting hot, cold, and blotchy and different things. So that's really important to do. It's really important that as a homeowner, somebody has told you, or you have connected with somebody, that you continue to seal your exterior concrete year after year. No different than a blacktop driveway and putting the sealer that you see on there. This is a clear sealer, so people probably don't recognize it as much. So you need to make sure that you seal your concrete year after year. So that's a brief conversation about concrete. I mean, there's so much more that goes along with it. We could sit here and probably talk about it all day. I could get some experts in here beyond me that could talk more about it, and it would be a fun conversation. But for me anyway. So that's what we know about concrete. So let's lead into our guest for today. Today, our guest is California Closets. We have Krista Heinrich and Leah Eggert from California Closets here to talk with us today. And it's a really interesting conversation because it brings light to a space I think that gets looked over a lot, or it gets downplayed a lot. And I think it's something that's new. Something that's people not new. I mean, it's not a new concept, but it's new to where people are really, really paying attention to it nowadays. I mean, it used to be a kind of thing. Now it's one of the most important places that we focus on. Obviously, having California Closets here is a clear view of what we do with these closets. But I also want to make sure, and I mentioned this while we're talking to these guys, is that you can feel it. You can understand the passion that they have. You can understand the position that they play on our team, and how important it is, once again, that we trust these guys to send our customers down to them, and they are not buying shelving from them. They're not just looking at it and going, we'll just do this. They're going down and meeting with them. They've got inspirations that they're doing. The ladies there, Leah is an expert. She's a professional and she's a designer for this stuff. And the customers are going to meet with them and they're going to talk about designing spaces. And when they get done, they have plans, they have 3-dimensional drawings, interactive drawings, and they have color. There's so much stuff that goes with it. And this is again, what I want out of our team. Passion for what they do and taking care of our customers, and these guys are no exception. So without further ado, let's welcome Krista Heinrich and Leah Eggert from California Closets. All right, everybody. As I said, today our guest on the WB Download is none other than Krista Heinrich. Is it Heinrich or Heinrich?
It's Heinrich.
Heinrich. Yes. Are you German?
I am.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
And we also have Leah Eggert. And these women are from California Closets. And this is one of our team members, one of our trade partners, as I always talk about. And these are people who do a great job for us. We've been working together for a long time. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. You're welcome, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Oh, my gosh. Look at you. Hey, tell me a little bit about yourselves.
So I was raised in Northern Kentucky. I went to NKU and I started working for California Closets 2 months out of college. And I'll be there 27 years in November.
Wow.
So my entire career.
What year were you at Northern Kentucky?
95 through 99.
Man, I was there from 94 to 95 and a half, maybe. I think it was. Yeah.
Wonder if we crossed paths.
Yeah, could have been. It could have been.
City.
I transferred to Ohio State. So did you live there or did you live at home?
No, I grew up in Northern Kentucky. So it was like a 15-minute commute.
Because there wasn't a lot of people that stayed there when I was there. It's not like it is now. Today's unbelievable. It's like a university now. It's like a school.
Really, really, like if you go back, it's like there's actually greenery now. It used to be called Cement City because it was so just no green grass.
We saw, we're going to get to you in a minute. All right. So we saw Amy Schumer down there at that big arena that they have.
Oh no, I didn't know she was amazing. There.
Yeah, it was like I said, there wasn't even a place to eat when I was there, and it was pretty cool. So, so that was Leah that we were talking to. Krista, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Louisville area, but
Did you?
I've been here for a long time, 2009, and I started with California Closets 2013, designing similar to what Leah does. Just been here for a long time, kind of working through designing, product management, and now on to the business unit manager.
That's nice. What keeps you guys there? I mean, I love to hear stories about people who it tells me that you're entrenched into the company and you believe what they're doing because you've been there for so long. What keeps you guys there?
The core values of the company.
Yeah.
They stand behind what they say. They do what they say. It's so unparalleled to me when we have just credo moments every meeting. I don't know that you can find that in a lot of other places.
Yeah.
And so it's just the core values of the company.
So you guys are
people living out the core values. It's the people that we work with that we trust, and there's just something special about that you feel like you're supported and you support them in the same way.
That's the point of core values. Get everybody heading in the same direction, get everybody on the same team and believe in the same things and making sure that you're living them out in your personal life and in your company. I mean, we put them on every contract, every proposal on our website. We have them on our wall plastered out here. And it's just a cultural thing that you try and build as running a company, what you want it to look like and what you want to try and get it to. So you guys are a corporate company, right? I mean, are you national, regional? Or do you go across the United States, or are you just regional, like around this local area?
We're corporate across the country, nationally, but ours is a franchise owned. There's other locations that are corporate owned.
Yeah, and is it so? You know how things go around here with people who aren't from Southwest Ohio is that you have Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, Dayton, and then you start getting into Indianapolis, and so it really becomes a small world when you talk about the tri-state area. Do you guys have more than one location?
Yeah, we have locations also in Lexington and Louisville that we just finished up our showrooms there for last year.
Yeah. Okay.
So our franchise is unique in that we are in multiple states. We're actually, I believe, by territory, the largest franchise. So we're called the Midwest. So it's Indianapolis, it's Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati, Dayton, and then all of Central Illinois. So we have multiple showrooms, and then they're quantified as business units. So Chris is in charge of Ohio. Then we have Brian in charge of Indiana and Illinois, and then Nick in charge of the Kentucky market. And our main hub and manufacturing are in Indy. So it's,
nice.
But it's a really well-oiled machine, how it works. So it's unique, but it's super cool.
I think when my son and I went to a Pacers game, and I think that we could see, I think, your factory there somewhere, because we were like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you could see it. And I was like, that's really cool that you could see that. So how long has California Closets been around? Because I look at California Closets, and anytime anybody talks about closets and you're talking about doing fancy closets, and you know what I mean? Like, and they're like, we're going to do because you guys are like the Kleenex of the closet.
That's
company.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So it started in 1976 in San Rafael, California, and then it just kind of exploded from there. And now we're in Canada, we're in Dominican, we're in Mexico,
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Man.
So everywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So is it like, did they patent anything when they came out? Was there just an idea? I mean, because you guys do some really, really neat things. What makes it unique that it ties it back to a California closet?
So what we have that we work with, like a lot of our vendors that do our specialty drawer fronts or our lighting, we have like strategic partnerships with them through the corporate office that gives us like just something special that's just from us.
Yeah.
Like proprietary rights to certain things that other companies just aren't able to carry. So we're unique in that we have so many different ways to access all kinds of things to give the clients that other vendors can't. So
yeah,
because we're such a large corporation and company that they want to use us versus anybody else.
Well, sure. I mean, I think that's the same thing in any business. I mean, you have multiple auto dealers, you have multiple builders out there, and everybody can call themselves something, but they can't do it the way you do it. And that's what's made the name for yourself. I mean, that's why you guys are so good at this. So, I think that we get into some of these topics and questions, and it's always like, what's the coolest closet you've ever designed in your life? And I think that's one question, but like, you probably have met some really, really cool people. And that's one of the coolest things about our business is we get to meet so many neat people, so many cool people that do neat jobs. And just really, can you say, I don't even know if you can say it, but like, what's the most famous person you've ever met doing these closets?
Oh, Ocho Cinco. Wait, I don't know if that's a lot of the athletes around here.
Yeah.
So just wrapped up one for Miles Murphy. We have a pretty good partnership with the Sam Hubbard Foundation. We have an event with them next Thursday. I did Chad's, but back in the day, the list is long. So now that I'm on the spot, I forget.
It's like, it wasn't like you remembered
Joey
one.
Votto, you name it, they've used us.
Yeah,
Nice.
she gets to meet a lot of folks really like going into and meeting with them in the showroom and in their homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool
a friend of mine lives in that house over there off of, is it Kugler Mill that you did for Joey?
Yes, that one.
Yep. And I got to see that. It's pretty neat. So what about like their occupation? Like, I mean, because I see some people and I'm like, that's what you do. That's pretty neat. You know,
the occupation for the clients.
Yeah.
You get a lot of just high executives, a lot of athletes, a lot of high executives, a lot of engineers.
Yeah.
They love the systems. They love the very
bet.
detailed plans. It's
looking at all the hinges and the slides and
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's we know how to handle them a little bit differently because there are details we know they care about more than others. So
yeah. We built a house for one of the gold medal product families, and their grandpa invented the popcorn machine, and I think he's the one that put it in the movie theaters. And we built another house for a guy whose grandpa invented the pull tab for the aluminum can, and just so it's like you get to meet people like that, and I'm just like, man, that is really cool. I mean, if you think about everything that we do, everything that's around us, somebody has invented it, somebody has made it and originated it. And rarely would you ever think you get the chance to meet somebody who does that. And it's like, man, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. The originators, I don't know if you can't really invent ice, but you can invent like bags of ice to sell. The Home City Ice owners in Indian Hill I've worked with them for probably 20 years, but yeah, bagged ice, like it's all those kind of people.
So that's a good lead in. But do you get a lot of repeat people? So I mean, I'm looking at it like we build this house and we put the closets in there and they're done. But do you get people to come back and say, hey, you know what, I was wanting this, and they're adding on accessories? That's
usually around 55 to 60% of what I see every month. I'm seeing Sarah Dizzard for something else next Wednesday.
Are you really?
So there we go. Yeah. I guess a little closet in the garage. She wants to outfit that. Maybe she wasn't sure back when we did the original design. So stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. Leah has jobs with clients that she's on like job 10 with them.
That is really cool.
Oh,
they've moved houses. They've wanted to downsize. Depends on where they are in their life process too, right?
Yeah.
Like what their storage needs are.
You're taking the high things and putting them lower as we get older, probably.
That's right. Giving them some of those automated lifts too. Wardrobe lifts.
Things don't work like they used to.
So what is talking about the client, but what is the coolest closet you've ever designed? I mean, what was you're like, man, that was the Mac. That's what I want to get back to.
So the Mac, I would say, to answer that, the most impactful closet that I ever did, we've done the $150,000, $200,000 closets. Those are cool because they let you do whatever you want. Like they want the coolest things from all the vendors. But I would say the most impactful one was a lady called in and she had a disabled needs son who was in a wheelchair, and he was just really struggling with like how to not feeling he was independent, and he wanted to really just her heart, you could feel like telling the story, like what can we do to, like, he gets out of the shower, let him get his own stuff, so he doesn't feel like we have to help him with anything. So it was just a very strategic design, with his limitations of the reachability, just to put everything kind of in the mid perimeter for him to reach. And that was just the most special and impactful one. By our standards, the design was relatively simple, but I will just never forget that.
Right. I mean, and everybody's got a story, and that's really neat to hear that kind of stuff. I mean, when you get the chance to do those kind of things, it puts yourself into a different perspective. You're looking around and going, man, I had no idea. And you realize how grateful you are. Plus,
absolutely
grateful you get the opportunity to do kind of things like that. It's pretty neat.
What she spoke to is really part of our process of like uncovering the reason why they called us.
Yeah.
They may say, I just need more space. But a lot of times what she's doing is really working magic with the space that they have to fit the needs and uncover some potential things that they may not have thought of in the process that really helps them have the product that they desire in the end.
That's a really good saying to say that you're uncovering why they called you. Because I always used to laugh because if I have somebody in my office and you walk in and you start the meeting off with, so you're thinking about building a house, are you? And we're like, no shit. What did you think I was doing here? You think about buying some steaks, are you? You want to come in on it? So, yeah, that's a really good point. You have to uncover it. Because sometimes those people don't. They think that they think they want a closet, but then you start talking. Because I know I've been there before and see what you guys do, and you're like, I need some closet. I need a California closet. And then you start talking, and you're like, well, you need this and this and this. They had no idea what they needed and what they wanted, and it's something else to see. So what is you talk about the coolest closet, but what is a style or what is something that goes on in closets that you're like, this sucks and I never want to see this thing again?
So easy. Those corner solutions, air quotes, they cause more problems than they solve. The rounded bars, those lazy Susan shoe mechanisms are terrible. I wish they would go away. I wish people would quit talking about them because they're so bad. They're like, once you explain why they don't make sense to clients, they understand, but people will get it in their head that that's what they want, they have to have. And we will never offer those things.
Right. So. I've done it with a couple things in our selections room. I'm like, just get rid of this.
Yes.
I don't care if people want it or not. It's ugly. Just not. Let's not do it.
Or shoe cubbies. They make no sense. They're so limiting. They're like you have no flexibility with it. So.
Do you ever seen that movie Overboard?
Oh yeah, of course.
Is that where all that crap came from? Because Kurt Russell built that thing for Goldie Hawn, and they're like, now everybody's like, that's what I want for California closets. That's not the way it works.
No, terrible ideas.
So we just finished a house out in Indian Hill, and these people hired these people just to organize their stuff. And that's all they were doing. I walked up and started talking to a lady. I'm like, what do you do? And she's like, we just organize people's stuff. And I'm like, no kidding. I had no idea there was a job for that. Do you feel like that's kind of what you're doing? You have to have that super anal particular mindset of things being in the right place. I mean, don't you think? I mean, you can't just be like, yeah, here's what we sell. But you have to start thinking like you're uncovering why they're there. But at the same time, you have to really dig in.
Well, it's so layered because, so first of all, there are design guidelines we know to go by. So we know the width of what we need for a single pair of women's shoes, for men's shoes, what a stack of folded items can be 11 to 13 inches. What makes sense for how they want to use their drawers, what's going inside the drawers, like the size, the width, all of that. So when we design it, it is so particular. There's nothing that is left. It all makes perfect sense for what they need, but we're doing a full needs assessment on their wardrobe. So I'm counting their shoes, I'm measuring their hanging, I'm doing everything. Like it's stupid how anal we get with it.
She's asking discovery questions of what's not in the space that you wanted to be here.
Yeah.
Or how do you come into the room and really go about your day getting dressed?
Right.
And you would be shocked too that how many times you'll go in and people, where's your laundry? Oh, I took it out so you could, because I knew you were coming. But that goes in here, so I need to know.
That's part of the equation there.
It is. It really is. So all of those things. So when we do a design, and our CAD program is really cool that we have all these 3D objects that we can place. So it really is. It's a map to show them this is exactly how you're going to use the space, because I'm showing you here's your little purses, here's your folded, here's this. But the organization side of that, I have several that I work with that they'll bring clients to us as well. So hand in hand. So clients sometimes still do get intimidated. They feel it's daunting, and they will source that out. So it's a real thing.
Well, this was not just closets. They were unpacking their moving boxes. They were hanging stuff in their garage. They were doing all kinds of things. So essentially, you have to look at a person. You get a 7-foot dude that comes walking into your showroom, and he's got a size 16 that you have to change what you're thinking about.
Exactly.
And if you get a person who comes in who's a little bit probably shorter or smaller or something like that, you have to consider those things. If you go to their house and they wear dresses every single day, you have to consider that hanging space as opposed to all those other things. man, it's just so much stuff that goes on with this. I was thinking too that, and as far as our design on our side, we probably have less furniture that we're working around in the bedroom because people are putting almost everything into the closet. And then, and I, you know, when I, the first place that we lived in, our house was probably about 900 square feet on a crawl space, no closet space. It was a pretty old house. Like the closet doors barely closed when you put a hanger on them, you know? But I went to 3 rooms in the morning to get dressed. I had to go find this, and this. And now, you know, we get on our closet and I want everything there. And I think that's the way a lot of people kind of, it's a convenience that you don't realize that you want or need. And especially when in the essence of time in the morning and you got all these other things going on, I'm going in the closet. And that's what I need. Just go get dressed in one place and have everything up. Islands and all, and I mean, just so much cool stuff that's going on in there.
They want it to be a one-stop now. Putting the drawers into the closets are by far one of our biggest asks now. They don't want it in the bedroom anymore. They want to do other things in the bedroom. So,
What else are they doing in the bedroom?
Well,
hold on, we got to change the rating on the WB download. Leah's going to start telling stories. Here we go. I get what you mean, though.
You have no idea the things I've seen.
I don't know if we want to know.
Yeah, we definitely have to change the rating here. So, but yeah, the drawers in the closet are a really big ask.
So you think? I mean, you're talking about the drawers, and I think about the drawers, but I think about the island.
Oh yeah.
And I think about the hardware. So let's step back a little bit and think about the chandeliers, the lighting that goes on in there, and then you guys have lighting that you're putting in the shelving in the drawers in these different places. Then you think about the granite or the quartz countertops that we're putting in there, and then the hardware that goes on the drawers and on and maybe some doors and things. And it's like designing a whole nother kitchen without the appliances, and it's really it's unbelievable.
There's a lot into the selections process, and that's why it's important for us to know what's going on in the other parts of the home so that what we do in our systems looks intentional. So if they have their vision boards from the in-house designer or whoever they're using that they can bring. It really is kind of a guide as to how to navigate our selections process with them. Just because even the tones of the floors, like we're not even going to look at these finishes because they don't match. Where they would be like, oh, I like that. So we have to kind of guide them that way as well.
Sure.
So.
And it's always like you're talking about. I keep going back to this because I thought it was a fantastic phrase, just uncovering what they're looking for and peeling it back. And we'll tell people that you know small spaces, which closet typically anymore is not a small space by any means, but it's a confined space, and those are the fun places to do some stuff with, like a bedroom. Yeah, well, let's do some moldings, let's do some wall coverings, whatever we're going to do. But these closets, I mean, but we'll start with somebody will have a light fixture. And they'll say, this is the light fixture that I want in there. And then you need to know that as a closet designer, or they'll say, this is what I was thinking. And you need to know that one simple detail and you roll with it from there. We do that in powder rooms. We do it in pantries. We do it, of course, in the closet. I think that's something that people don't realize a lot of times is just one little small thing, and it sets it off,
well,
sets it in a direction.
Her kind of discover what their style is and what we're trying to accomplish with how they want it to look and feel.
Yeah.
Because every single thing matters. Every single thing matters. One thing is off, the whole space is off. And that's our job to make sure we deliver, we hear, we see, so that everything works perfectly in the space and it goes with the rest of the home.
Yeah. So you got to think about, I think about appliances. I just said appliances, which made me think about this, but in your closet, you're thinking about that now. They have a lot of appliances that are going to be going into the closet. And I think an iron is an appliance, but they have steamers. They have almost like these portable dry clean things. And we've been putting washers and dryers in closets. I mean, I don't know why anybody would leave.
We've put wine stations. We have wine
coffee
coolers.
bars. I mean, we do those coffee bars in there.
We work around a lot of stackable washer dryers, those LG steamers, the dry cleaning units. She's not wrong. We'll put little work around wine fridges, make space for wine fridges. It's so much more than a closet now. A lot of times it's a multi-purpose. Really,
we're extending the primary bedroom into a master closet and making it a sanctuary in the home for the couple.
Absolutely, man. I love it.
Wanting a dry bar in the master suite, well, it's going to go be part of the system in the primary closet.
Right.
Yep.
So what as if we were switching gears here, and we're thinking about a builder, and you're talking to them, what could a builder know that's going to help you guys as you go into the design, as you go into meeting with customers, and I mean, is it dimensions, is it room size, is it what do we need to know?
Everything.
Yeah, all
literally everything.
All right, let's go on to the next question. I was just kidding. I'm not going on to the next question.
Are we really? I would say it's just important that proper expectations are always set up. A lot of times clients think that they can put the closets off till the last minute, that anything can be done at any point, and that's not the case by any means, most especially when there is a really, really good chance that a lot of times the electric will need to be modified, or there will need to be some added. And then they have to put in change orders because of what they wanted to do in the space, and certain things aren't where they should be. So it's just very important to navigate them, to say, hey, we need to button this up earlier than later, at least before the electrical is solidified, because you don't want to incur costs if you don't have to.
Yeah, Krista, I don't know if you know this or not, but she's talking to me.
Yeah. No,
because
I do know.
Because I've this just brought to my attention not too long ago, because I put allowances in there based on what I think in the caliber of the customer and the caliber of the house, and then I leave it, and I don't. But I have a list of 50 people that when I'm sending things out to bid, and I call it a bid, but it's their estimate because they they work with us, and I don't send it to you. And I don't know why. I'm just putting a number in there. I mean, I know that we're gonna work with you, but I'm not. So I'm changing that, so to speak, right now. But it's so important, just like you said, because we need to know structural things. We need to know windows placements. If there's a bench in the window, if we're doing a chandelier, if we're doing can lights, if we do those outlets for all the things we need. That's a really good point. Thanks for telling me. You didn't really tell me that. I think you told Alicia that.
All the builders
tell
out there.
all the builders, everybody who's listening.
I mean, even attic access, floor vent placements, all of that. Anything that there's a chance would need to be modified, just sooner the better.
I agree. And that's something that I haven't done a very good job at. So thank you.
I was definitely not.
You were definitely talking to me. I could feel it. Over here. So I think that's something that architects, really need to understand too. And if you ever want to see a dude sleep on the couch for a couple of weeks, is make a suggestion of cutting out a closet somewhere. And I'm like, gosh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But so I mean, do you, when you do your marketing for California closets, not that you need to, but do you hit up architects and say, hey, you need to be thinking about this space. You need to be thinking about what this looks like and getting your head wrapped around? Because I'll tell you right now, I mean, I know you don't want to hear this, but I mean, closets in the beginning can be a almost like a forgotten space. It's the most important. But so many people, and this drives me, because I get excited about things that people don't care about. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at foundations and rebar and structural engineering and how the house is going to be framed, and I'm worried about all these different things working out. And I'm looking at closets, I'm looking at all those things, but I'm not thinking about designing them. And I think architects really probably need to do that. Do you guys do any of that? You marketing towards them to say, hey, call us and we'll help you?
I will say that when architects reach out to us directly, we can help navigate them with kind of scaling certain spaces the way we need them to be, just more functional in general. Perfect example would be returns and reach-in closets, where they're scaling the door size to a standard door size, but you've got 2 feet on either side that's back in dark corners. Well, that doesn't make sense. Right. So let's fix that somehow. Also, another big one that we see is they're also in charge of the electrical placement on these plans too. And it's not uncommon that for whatever reason, a light switch will be 18, 24 inches away from the door. Well, I can't use that space unless I do a split section, which costs the client more money. Why are we not just putting it into the 2x4s right where the door frame is? Like, there's no reason for it to be this far out. So the ones that we work with that we can catch, we have them modify those things so that the space is functional.
We work with them, telling them kind of too, like, what we offer. So if that standard door isn't something that they want to add into their bid, we can work with the client on a custom solution for a sliding door for that gets that opening for the reach in wider and makes the closet more functional for them.
I have two thoughts on this, but I want to. So I think that we have an opportunity to, because we have our selections room here, and we do so many things outside of it anymore, and we do so many things online that we're not filling the space up that much anymore. So I was like thinking about it when I go to the Drees office down there. They have this huge classroom, and I'm like, I think I'm going to put a classroom in there. I don't know what the hell I'm going to teach them, but I think I'm going to put a classroom in there.
Right.
But I think it would be a good opportunity for us to get a bunch of architects together and even designers and get you guys in here. And I think we should talk about this more. I think we should.
Let's do a lunch and learn at our showroom.
Yeah. I think we could do that. Yeah. That would be really good. Let's work together on that as we move forward. The other question I had is, at what point is a closet too small to care about it being a walk-in? Because I remember just in small spaces and they're like, oh man, the architect be like, you have walk-in closets in every bedroom. And I'm like, why? What are you going to do in there? I mean, because at this point, you're literally, that's all you're doing is walking into it. You would have been better off probably widening it out or doing something.
Yeah, if you have to turn to the side just to get through,
right.
The clothes are hanging, that's not really
It's a walk-in. It's a walk-in closet. You can put a toy box in there or something. So I think that there's some spaces where it's just too small, don't you think?
It's just too small. Or the returns where they're 11 inches from the door. Well, what good is doing something that's 9 inches deep behind the casing? It's not a lot of good. So that's another important reason to try and get in front of them and say, hey, push this back, or let's just look at this differently, because not all spaces are scaled to be functional.
Plus, they put the door on the end swing, so it swings in.
Where it would hit anything that was there anyway. So it's like, what are we even doing?
Like,
we have the back wall.
I'm just some hillbilly farming builder, and I'm like, you guys went to school for like 9 years. Let's figure this out before we get in here.
Exactly.
But I do think this is a point where this is, again, something that needs to be highlighted, and people need to start the conversation a lot sooner than that. So we're talking about that, but I mean, architects in general, and I'm giving them a hard time, but without our architects and the relationship that we have with them, I don't think our houses would be what they are. But at the same time, do you guys work with other designers? And I mean, are you collaborating with these people, and you guys are all where do you get your ideas from? I guess does it come from corporate? Does it come from you individually? Are you reading magazines? Or designers go to Market, North Carolina, or High Point, North Carolina, to the market. What are you guys doing? Do you have a big show like the builders have an IBS show? International Builder Show, that is. I
think so there is a lot of corporate training that's ongoing, a lot of continual learning that when they bring in new products, how we can use them, how everything's constantly evolving. So we're always sure to stay with, the updated trends of how to do things. But I would say in large part, it's on the designer themselves to also see what's happening in the market, what's happening in their market, what's coming from the coasts, so it's kind of a lot, but I would say a little bit of everything.
We've taken inspiration from when I was a product manager of California Closets, I even went up to NeoCon and got inspiration from the office industry and how, like, what materials and things that we're seeing with them that we could apply to our space, because we really accomplish storage solutions for the whole home. So we're in offices, we're in mudrooms, we're all over the home with our designs. Yeah. And we have this document that's 450 pages that has standard product offerings. It's like an education Bible for our designers to know the minimums and maximums for each individual product and how we use them, how they're intended to be used, and what we want to. It's just an education tool for our designers to be the expert.
And I'm sure that you guys being in it, I mean, you're in it every single day. So your mind is wrapped around these spaces. So you look at this space and you're like, here's what we could do. This is what we know we offer. But this is also something I've seen, something I've done in your experience through California Closets, just through your personal experience. That's what makes you famous, right? I mean, that's what makes you so good. That's what makes you so good. So, when you talk about California Closets, again, we're talking about and I'm glad you said that, because the whole time we're talking, I'm sitting here going, master closet. This is what we're talking about, master closet. And we touched on another closet, but the other biggest part of our design now is the pantry. So, what are you guys doing to adapt to this desire for this second kitchen, back kitchen, do you guys get into that?
Pantries.
Butler's Pantry.
Right. What are you seeing as the biggest trend that people are asking for in the development of their kitchen space and how they want to store their pantries? Because, I mean, Instagram and like people's inspiration photos they're bringing in are kind of all over the place depending on what their style is and how they go.
And it's those small spaces. I mean, you think about Mark and Sarah Desard's houses. That if you remember that we had some really cool wallpaper that we did in there, and it was part of the design of the kitchen. It's part of the place where you want to be like, look, come look at this. And it was also right off the dining room. So when you're sitting at the head of the dining room table, you're looking in there.
Yeah.
It's a really cool space, but it's got to be something that is people. It's a must. I mean, where it used to be like a pantry was kind of like a part of the cabinetry. For a long time, it was a taller cabinet,
right?
And which was a horrible idea because everything got buried in there. But then now people used to talk about a study, and now people all have laptops and iPads, so they're doing more work sitting on the couch or sitting at the kitchen table instead of having to sit at an egomaniac desk like in this big room, where they get up at 8:00 in the morning drinking bourbon and with a suit and tie on, and they're doing some work or something. Now we're talking about pantries. And they're literally back kitchens. You have a whole nother set of appliances in there. In my house, we're not allowed to have anything sitting on the countertop. So you have a pantry that you put everything else in there. And in other cases, this room is the coolest room in the house, but we're hiding it. So we're making it look like, with cabinetry. And then you open it up and it goes in there and it's pretty cool. So all of those things I think are coming together. But again, you're talking about chandeliers, you're talking about wallpaper, countertops, a whole different countertop than what's out in the kitchen, appliances, everything is back in there. Yeah.
And if you think about it, the pantry is accessed more than any closet in your home at any time. So a lot of times what we end up doing in there are things that can't be accomplished in the kitchen. So we're customizing, we're extending the large appliance countertops. We're incorporating additional beverage storage, cool beverage storage. We are
wine storage,
the wine and the beverage storage, the tray and platters that don't fit into the cabinetry, and just the way that their kids operate. So baskets for all of their snacks and things like that. So it is the second most popular space that we do, and it's right up there with closets.
Yeah,
with how often we do pantries.
I'd say we're moments away from getting a climate controlled pantry, and I think that's probably the next thing that's on the list, because when the rooms are so big, you have to put a supply and sometimes a return in that room. But when you put the supply in there, if it's heat or air conditioning, it's usually blowing up on something, because every wall in the pantry is covered. And ours at home, we took a piece of cardboard and taped it down over top of it so it doesn't, because it was drying everything out. Or it was getting too hot in there, and you come in there and the chocolate chips are melting. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But so I mean, I really think that's it's going to be a zoned room sooner or later. It's going to be
first especially to market, Wheel and Builders.
There you go. I don't even know why I'm talking like this. I need to get a patent on it right now.
Exactly.
This is my flash of genius, just so we're recording this right now. So if anybody comes up with this in the next couple hours, but I think it's going to be like that, just like a wine room, because people are storing things in there, and it's probably the next thing that you could do. If not every single room would be like that. But what trends do you guys see? We were talking about pantries and stuff, but what are you seeing that's outside of the pantry and the master? I mean, is there something that's really cool? Hidden closets? Is there something that people are doing? What are we talking about? Anything?
I mean, really, well, I would say the places that they understand that need to be customized more than just kind of standards. So like the mud rooms, things that we can customize, where maybe stock cabinetry can provide them with 3 lockers. Well, we can do 5, we can do 4, we can do whatever you want with that space, because we can order custom drawer boxes. We go to the 16th of the inch. So that's where the value of California closets comes in, where stock cabinetry just can't fit the bill for what they need it to do. And we can really just do whatever they want, however they want it.
And when you're talking about mudrooms, like the power of making space for what belongs is transformational.
You should start writing some of this stuff down, man. Here you go again. The power.
It is.
Look at you.
I just recently got California closets in my own mudroom, and my kids came in the door from school, put their backpacks away, put their shoes away. It was like they knew It now had a home, and they were excited about it.
That's neat.
And it's no longer in my front foyer.
That works. The whole thing worked. That's pretty good. So when you talk about customizing, and because when we do these, we do mud benches, and we're customizing the back of it. We're customizing each individual space. We're usually staining the bench part of it to a certain color to match the floors and whatever it is. You guys do all of that stuff.
Well, what our product is the laminated product,
Right.
Which clients appreciate because those spaces take a beating. They have to be able to withstand, the dirt, the wet shoes, all of that. And clients want a space that's easy to wipe down too, which is what ours is. So that's another layer to this, that there's never any upkeep. There's never a need to have to repaint, refinish, restain. So it has a lifetime to it.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's something that's probably downplayed a little bit. People think that if it's a laminated product or if it's particle board or whatever it is, and they're like, oh, whatever. But if you're putting real wood in any of these closets, it's going to get beat the crap back. It's not going to hold up, whether it's an enamel or a lacquer finish. It's going to take a beating. Even when you're sliding books on the bookshelves that are lacquer finish,
Exactly.
It's still going to get pretty roughed up. So that's a really important part. Or point to make there on what that's doing. Colors, and I mean, you guys have how many? I'm just thinking about different finishes, wood tones, and pre-finished products. What does that look like for you? I mean, you guys have swatches. Do you have?
Yeah, so we have 14 main finishes. However, we have hundreds and hundreds of specialty drawer fronts that we can get, anywhere from high glosses to handmade wood veneers that look like you're touching a tree, but in a super cool way. I mean, it's a rabbit hole when you come into our showroom. There's drawers upon drawers of samples of things you can do. It's wild. So yeah, we have 14 main finishes that we work off of, but you can just take a main finish and then do all high gloss fronts with something that's like aloe or even matte finishes. We have back painted glass. I don't know that there's anything we don't offer.
We've done garages with like custom colors to match their sports cars, right?
Nice.
Where they have a red Ferrari, and we have four different high gloss reds you can choose from, and we find the red that matches, and all of their cabinets are high gloss red to match that car.
That's one of
we
those
do it all the time.
Deals like where they say if you have to ask, you don't need to know the answer to. It's like when you walk into somebody's garage and they have custom painted their closets to match their Ferrari, know you don't need to know how much money they got.
Exactly.
You just know they got a lot of money.
Exactly. Yep, there's certain conversations you don't need to have with them for sure.
So let's switch from builders and design for builders we're thinking about the different spaces and things. But when you talk about customers and homeowners, what's the biggest misconception that you can have when you think about closets as a homeowner?
Well, I think there's a couple. The first one is that I think the biggest misconception is they don't need it. But the reality is 30 to 50% of a space is wasted if they're just doing a standard wire.
Yeah.
And that's the number one misconception. The other one is that custom doesn't mean a luxury price tag. So the systems are super scalable.
It does with me, just so you know.
Sorry, take that back.
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, these are definitely scalable. So yeah, it can be high-end luxury, but we have an arsenal of ways to make it budget engineered. So you have a price we need to stick to. We're going to find a way to get it there and still have it do what it needs to do for you. So I think that's the other big misconception.
I think you're right on, because we do the same thing. If somebody comes to me and tells me that they have a $2 million budget, they probably want a $3 million house, and you have to make sure that you're coaching them, and you can't have whatever they've been told by somebody else or whatever they've read on the internet coming to you first, which is just beautiful. I love that when that happens, and they start telling me things that we should know. But I think that's important for people to know, is that what's the baseline? I mean, so are we talking about the standard would be the wired, we call it dust proof plastic coated wired shelving, whatever you want to call it, it's wired shelving. So that's where and I'm so old that back in the day we used to do like a metal piece on the wall that held. It was like a metal L bracket that held the wood shelf above it, and it was like a gas. I think they just took the leftover gas pipe and hung it on there, and that's what we hung the curtains and hung everything on, hung the clothes and everything on it. So that was probably the base, and then now we go to California closets. I think that people need to understand that you don't have to have a lot of money to be able to get what you want. But you need what you do need is you need a Leah, you need a Krista to talk to and spend time with them to say, here's what you're going to do with the best use of your money, the best use of your space. And I think that's probably what scares people off.
Right. I mean, that's what we're trained to do. And we're trained to respect the budget. We're trained to utilize the space the way they may not even know the way they need it to use.
Right. They come into our showroom and we ask them what their budget is, and they'll say, I've never done this before. So they come in a little guarded because they're expecting a certain price tag based on what custom means.
Yeah.
But it's an education process, and we're here with you asking the discovery questions of what means the most to you and making sure that is what you're looking for.
Absolutely. We have specific closets for specific things. Mm-hmm. And we did in one house that we built, we put specifically for luggage, believe it or not. But other houses, we always have a closet for their vacuum, for whatever those vacuums are. And again, when you're talking about this, you need a place to hang them, you need a place to put them, but you need a place to plug them in nowadays. And that comes in, that's what you're talking about with that electric and all the things you need. So what does a homeowner, if I'm a brand new homeowner and we're completely green to whatever we're doing, and I've got enough intelligence to me to come and talk to you, what do I need to bring? What do I need to know? What do I have to come and talk to you? Besides an appointment.
Besides an appointment. After the appointment, what they need to bring are definitely any pictures that they pinned, any inspiration pictures. Also, I always email them a wardrobe analysis to fill out prior to our meeting, so that way I know what their needs are. But yeah, any pictures are great. Yeah. That's probably the biggest thing, because people really only pin things that step out or that pop out to them. So it tells me about their design style a little bit too. It tells me so much more than they think it does, especially when they all are super similar.
Yeah. So. I would agree. I tell people all the time, especially when we're getting ready to go meet with the architect, we need as much inspiration from them as possible. And I always say, hey, listen, if you bring me 5 or 10 pictures, I guarantee you we can find similarities in each one of them. And they're going to say, I don't know what my style is. And I have this and I have this and I have this. And we'll say, well, it looks like you like, metal roofs, or you like these chimneys. And they say, well, why would you say that? And I said, every single one of these pictures has that. And I think you guys probably run into the same thing. I would hope that if somebody is going to design, when I tell people all the time too, when you're getting ready to go through the build process, or now your mind is in that frame. So when you used to go over to a friend's house and you're hanging out drinking beer and you're talking to them and you're having a conversation with them, or wine, whatever your preference is. But you're looking around now. I mean, you're looking at everything, and you're starting to snoop a little bit, because this is where your mind goes. And now you start, when you're driving down the road, you're looking at things differently. And I would hope that when people are going to do a closet, they're going to do the same thing, that they're going to start paying attention to different things. When you're in a hotel room, you're going to be looking at, like, what's this look like? When you're in a friend's house, you're going to be looking at, what's this look like? You're going to be going to home shows, and that's what you're going to be taking pictures of. You get into that mindset. I think that's really important. So,
yeah, those pictures tell us so much more than they think it does. So it actually helps us kind of do a lot of the uncovering too. So where we can it's safe to push some of the other selections aside, because none of them align with what we see in the pictures.
Yeah. So my first job that I did with you guys was in 2011, and it was in a Homerama house in Foxborough, and it was Jeff and Julie Crumman, just super people. I mean, they were just amazing. But I remember Jeff coming to me, and he goes, man, those people are unbelievable. He goes, they've got something for everything. And he starts showing me, he starts taking me through this and showing me stuff. And he's like, I think it was the jewelry, like the hidden jewelry or the jewelry or whatever it was. And he was talking about that. And you've never seen, he was an engineer kind of guy. And he's like, I've never seen a dude get so excited about closets and jewelry all in the same sentence. It was kind of fun. But so what does the journey look like for customers? We talked about they come in, they're going to show you inspiration pictures. Where do you go from there?
Well, so typically what I do is I will take the wardrobe analysis and make sure that they have that back to me no later than 7 days before our scheduled meeting. Because what I want to do is I want to have the primary closet designed and done for the meeting. So because that's the most complex space. So that takes a while to design. And then any kind of buttoning up that we can do together, we'll do it there. But then the secondary spaces we'll design together at the initial appointment. And then we'll do all of the selections there as well. But when they show me the pictures, I tend to pull the things that make sense with what they've shown me. So that way we're not going through drawerfuls of stuff. So once that's buttoned up, then I pretty much coordinate with the builder the field measurements where I go out to the site, measure off the drywall. We also have installers do site visits to make sure that everything is on schedule on your end, where it's the flooring, the painting.
Don't point. You basically just pointed at me.
On the builder's end.
Okay, all right.
So, and then, any of the modifications that we needed to have happen. So anything moved or anything like that. So
we were talking about this earlier, though, but this is a partnership, right, with the builder. So we have these processes in place to make sure that the space is ready when we get there, but also to just keep in communication with you about where you're at in your process too.
Most underrated thing in the world is communication.
Absolutely.
And just being honest with people about how things go. And one of our core values is honesty. And I think it's the dumbest thing in the world to have this as your core value, because why should you tell somebody that you're going to be honest with you? It's a used car salesman trick. No offense to anybody.
Right.
But I mean, to say, hey, I'm going to be honest with you, because probably you're lying.
You lead with
or
that.
You've been lying and now you're getting ready to tell me another lie. But I think that's one of the hardest things, especially with field supervisors, with people. I mean, they'll blow smoke all day long. And the reason why we have a core value is, to be honest, is because I think customers can smell bullshit from a mile away.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to listen to that. Nobody. I don't care if you are a bullshitter. You still don't want to listen
Absolutely.
to it. So.
Well, when you don't have that, you don't have alignment. You don't have trust where the process is, and then you just lose faith.
It's horrible. So
it's not a good feeling.
I call it retail versus new construction. Retail is our heating and air conditioning guys, plumbers, garage door companies. You guys, you can go into an existing house and do service work. You can remodel. You can do different things. What's more fun? Is it the retail stuff to reinvent the space, or is it the new build stuff where you're kind of inventing the space?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I love when the clients come with a remodel, or they're asking you for input on the space, because then you're talking to them about what all Leah said, their inventory and how they want to store things, and that helps inform the space.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes when I go to you got to have such a spectacular vision to go into an existing space and understand the things the parameters you have to be able to do it. I mean, you have to have the same thing when you're building, but most of the time when you're building, the space is there. It's on paper. And if I haven't built it yet, we can do whatever we want. Even if we have built it, we've got an awesome set of tools. We can just go ahead and rip it out and redo it.
Well, that's why I was conflicted with that answer, because if we're still able to help mold the space, that's fun too.
Yeah.
So that's why I was conflicted with my answer. I see both sides having, that where it's an advantage. So
yeah.
So I schedule an appointment with you. I've got some inspiration pictures. We come in and sit down with you. You find out if I'm a slob or not, and which I probably am, because I need help with you. And
I think you're pretty organized if you say you have a closet for your luggage.
Right, I believe that too.
That's not me.
Oh, was it
No. I do not have a closet for my luggage. We've done that for people building houses. Good Lord, no, I don't travel enough to do that. But thank you for thinking that I'm that classy. So we're sitting down at an appointment, and if it's new construction, you've got plans sitting in front of you. If it's retail, you're going out there. You've got a whole other set of steps you got to do to be able to figure this stuff out. So once we get to the new build, we've designed it. you guys have like a really cool computer system that's going to give me front facing view, 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional views, probably colored renderings and sizes and all these things, kind of like what we do with our cabinet shop. Talk to me a little bit about that. What can the customer expect? Because I think that's one of the biggest obstacles that we face a lot of times is the vision of what people can visual. We do it all the time.
Right.
So we're like, and I'm still kind of probably suck at it, but people they have such a hard time visualizing, and you can do a great job with that. Why don't you talk about that?
So our CAD program is proprietary. So we commissioned out a company in Ireland that it took them a good 3 years to come up with this software. It's super cool. I can pretty much email a client a design link. They click on it, and there's a couple ways that they can view it. So they can click on one link and it shows them, this is where the engineers love it, the floor plan with all of the dimensions, then the elevation views where everything's still labeled with the front view, black and white with the dimensions. But then the last part of that are still 3D shots. That would be their first option. But then the second one is where it's the 3D browser. So they can navigate around the space. They can walk, they can open doors, they can open drawers. They can do anything that they want in the space like they were using it. So it's fail proof that they wouldn't understand anything at that point because it's right there in the link. It's like they're walking in the room. It's really cool.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do in your design phase, are you taking out the purpose of his and hers? I mean, are you really that good?
No,
I'm just kidding. I think about when you're talking about designing these spaces. I mean, that's an old kind of thing,
right?
And I don't know, we separate vanities for some. I mean, I think people just like their space, but is that still a thing, his and hers, or are you guys able to work around that?
Well, no, very much the his and hers needs are different. Just by inventory, inherently, women tend to have more shoes. They need the long hanging. Men, I don't know, tend to fold a little bit more. So that's where the expertise comes in. And we can split a space without making it feel like it's split, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Visually, correct.
You can have ones. I like to do it because I think you waste space with walls.
Correct.
And this is, I think in the old days we used to separate every single thing we could with walls and make it a door. Room here, room here, room here. Now we open everything up so much.
I think it was a misunderstanding that separating with walls made things more organized.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree, and so we open them up so much now that the art business is probably falling apart because there's nowhere to hang any pictures anymore. But I mean, I really like to think you can create two spaces. If you have one great big room, let's do it like that instead of trying to put one over here and one over there. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about closets coming right off of the bathroom? Do you feel like there's any issue with that, or with moisture or with anything like that? I've had people ask me that question. I don't see any issue with it, but I've had people ask me that question before.
I've not run into it yet. I think the important thing when designing the space is if they want lighting in there, because we have multiple ways that you can trigger the lights. So it could be a motion sensor. It could be just a dimmer switch. It could be hardwired. A lot of people like the idea of a motion switch, but I will tell you, you have to be really careful in the sense that if somebody gets up in the middle of the night, they're going to trigger that and it's going to stay on for 15 minutes just because
5 minutes.
Or 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Sorry, 5.
Yeah, feels like 15 at 4 o'clock in the morning. It feels like 15.
Yes. That's so weird. I was thinking of the range of it, what the motion is. But if they get up to go to the bathroom, it's going to trigger it and wake everybody in the room up. So just that's more of I wouldn't say a moist. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine to be off the bathroom.
And I think it's probably 70-80% of the time that's what we're doing is taking them off the bathroom. Mostly because if people are on two different schedules and there's somebody in the bedroom sleeping, they're coming into the bathroom. They're doing everything, doing all their business in the bathroom, and then they're coming into the closet. And then beyond that, we're putting another door coming out of the closet to go out to go out to the hallway, go outside, and same thing as when they're coming home. And I think that's another part that you guys are looking at too, is that now you have wall space, you have this big walk-in closet, but now you have another door to contend with, which is really good. I think it's a good idea. But
you're right on track, and this goes back to our earlier conversation where putting the drawers in the closet, because that's where they need to do everything and to respect the other spouse who's not wanting to get up at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. So they need to do everything in that space, and then all those things. Yeah, makes sense.
So we've covered just about everything, but I feel like you guys have more to say. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I have a couple more questions, but I mean, I just want to make sure that we're getting everything out. You guys want to talk about it? I mean, you can talk about anything.
Right. How was that lunchtime margarita?
It was good. It was good. So as we record this conversation today, it's my brother's birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike.
So we went down to Chewy's around here. We do everybody's birthday. We go to lunch at their choice and take the whole company out. And of course we pay for it and we get cakes and do all those kind of things. So normally I would not suggest drinking on the job. But today we were looking at our afternoon and we're like, okay, well, we can have at least one margarita.
One is fine.
So that's always fine. I feel like I'm kind of like doing something like I'm like, I'm crazy. How old I've gotten. This is stupid. But it's also the most beautiful day we've had in probably about 6 weeks. Outside. It's sunny. It's warm. It's still soaking wet because we just got 96 inches of rain in the last 7 days. Literally. So, but that's a good day. But that was kind of rude that we didn't invite you.
I didn't.
Because we could have had a sponsored lunch.
Gosh, we could have
had a sponsored margarita.
We just need to have your birthday schedule so we know when to stop by.
We can do that too.
That's fair.
We can do that too.
I'm always down for a midday margarita.
I am too. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I just don't do I'm like too serious of a nerd.
Don't put anything big on my schedule afterwards.
So here's what I want people to know. I want people to take away from this podcast is that I always talk about the people who are on our team, which is you. And when I think about Whelen Builders, and I have this conversation with everybody, is I want people to understand that Whelen Builders is the best custom builder in Southwest Ohio. And it sounds egotistical and maniac for me to say something like that. But what I want to understand is it's not Jeff Whelen, it's you. You guys are part of our team. Alicia's part of our team, and my brother is part of our team, and the garage door. Everybody is part of our team, and that's what I'm thinking about when I think about Whelen Builders. And I want people to think about you guys with Leah and Krista to say you have a heart for what you do, and so when we trust you with our customers and they come down to you, you're not going, do you want shelves in your closet? You are really, really concentrated on what their heart desires, what they need in their home. And you're designing it with them. You're not selling them something. You're designing something with them. And it's so important. And that's what I want from you guys. That's what I want our customers to experience. And I hope that people take that away from today with listening to what you guys have to say. That's great. Yes, I would agree. You guys rock, man. I mean, you've been a big part of our company for a long time. And man, I hope that we want to have you back because I want to expand on this a little bit more because we've opened up some stuff today, and I feel like I'm a psychologist. Like we've got more talking to do. We do. Not even close to done with you. but it is. I mean, I think we peeled back a lot of stuff, and it's opened my eyes to a lot of different things too, especially on my bid sheets that I'm going to send you now for in the beginning to make sure that you have everything. It is wild, the psychology behind designing closets, because it's the most intimate part of the home in large part, and so it's very layered. So yeah, a lot we could talk about. I agree. We've opened up a lot of it today. I do hope that people see that this is something it should not be overlooked. It's something that's so important, and it's something that most people just don't realize how important it is. So hopefully we brought some light to it, and we're going to pay more attention to it. So thank you guys again for taking time out of your busy day to be here. Thanks for having us. Thanks for all you do with us at Whelen Builders, and thanks for what you do for our customers. And we enjoy having you on the team. Thanks for having us, Jeff. Thank you. And that's like I said, this is California Closets. We're dealing with Krista Heinrich. Krista Heinrich, the good German lady from Louisville. And that's a good question. Who was your horse for the Derby? Oh, it was Trunk of Gold. Oh man, that's tough. That's crazy. Do you get into the Derby at all? I watched it, but don't ask me. I didn't have a horse. I just turned it on for the day to watch the races because I was. Oh my gosh, I was like, none of you please slip because it was so raining. Wet. Yeah, it was so wet. It was my son's birthday and all the kids picked their little horse that they wanted to teach them young. There you go. That's good. That's good. Start the bad habits early. It's all good fun. We were in Washington, D.C. one time for this was 25 years ago for a National Association of Home Builders meeting. And we happened to be there around Derby Day. And so we all have our own caucuses that we have to be in, and Kentucky was in ours. And this is a national holiday that goes on because it's the Derby, and they throw this party in this hotel room, and we were like kids again, but everybody's all dressed up because we had meetings all day. They had a dude come in and playing a trumpet, I mean, they had people were wearing hats, and people were, and at that time it was probably a tube TV. It wasn't like a plastic.
Sure,
so there's people surrounded around a 30-inch TV watching this race and just having the time of their lives. And I just remember how important. I remember thinking about the passion and stuff that goes into it and how important it was. But it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun.
It's definitely a holiday.
Yeah.
Kind of like opening day for the Reds.
Kentucky, man.
Oh
yeah.
Or for Carb Day up in Indianapolis for the races coming up.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Memorial Day.
Yeah, for the Indy. Yeah. And don't forget about the Little 500, which people don't know a lot about.
Yeah.
A really good friend of mine races at Anderson Speedway over there for that, too. So, yeah, it's really, man, there's so many cool things we're talking about.
I know.
We need to have you back because we just keep opening up more stuff.
Just
All
to
right.
shoot the shit.
It's California Closets. It's Krista Heinrich and Leah Eggert here with us today. Thank you again, guys, for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. I'm telling you, that was an incredible time to spend with Krista and Leah talking about spaces, talking about closets, talking about what they do and what we do together. I just can't thank you guys enough for all the things you do with Wheel and Builders, for being part of this team, and for taking time out of your day to come up here and do this with us. It was cool getting to know these guys. You know, probably one of the most disappointing things about this interview is that, once again, we turn the microphones off and then we sit here and talk for about 10 minutes. And it was a laid back conversation that we were talking about some cool stuff that would have been really organic for the podcast. And I'm like, man, can't believe we're not recording this. But nonetheless, it was more learning about Leah telling us that, when she was a pretty young person there, she was working down at the Home and Garden Show for a remodeler, and 4 doors down is the California Closets. And she's walking around down there when you got all this extra time on your hands, as you do at these trade shows. And somebody says, "Hey, have you ever thought about coming to work here?" And she said, "I never thought about it," but they put it into her head. And next thing you know, she's got a 19-year career with, or longer, I guess it is. She tells us this, and I can't remember what the years, but it's a long career that she's got with California Closets. And that's how it starts. And to see both her and Krista to have the dedication and the passion for what they do is pretty neat. So thanks again, guys, for being here. Thanks for all you do with Wheel and Builders. I want to thank the audience once again for listening, to continue to listen to the show week after week after week, and for being loyal customers and listeners. I want to tell you that the next episode is the 4th Tuesday of May. I don't have that date in front of me, but pretty exciting that we are going to have my good friend Adam Helke from Quad Cities, Iowa, on the podcast. And Adam is a dude that's in our Builder 20 group. He's a builder out there who builds a lot of similar stuff to what we do, or in a similar way. He's from a river town, kind of like we are, and right across the river from different locations and the way things are built. So it's interesting to listen to Adam. He's got a good story, and I'm looking forward to you guys tuning in and hearing all about him. So, hey, don't forget that when you are listening to the WB Download, you need to subscribe on your favorite podcast service, like the episode, share it with all of your friends and family for sure. And make sure you catch us on YouTube as well over there. So don't forget that we drop on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of every month. And if you want to be a part of this conversation, and I invite you to do so if you wish, join me and send me an email at wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com. That's WIELAND builders.com. And if you want to check out the cool houses that we're building and all the cool things that we're doing, and I'm sure there's a lot of pictures of some really cool closets on there, look us up at wielandbuilders.com, WIELAND builders.com. Thanks again to Leah and Krista for being here from California Closets today. And make sure you tune in next time to hear from my good friend Adam Helke out in Quad Cities, Iowa. Everybody, it's a pleasure, as always, being here and getting to talk to you and talk with these fine people that we're interviewing. I'm Jeff Whelan here on the WB Download.